I didn't know that. Did you know that? Hey, stay tuned. You're going to love InSight. Hi, everyone. Welcome. You're going to enjoy today. We're going to talk about strategies. You know, we have to have strategies to have knowledge of what to do because of what's ahead. Do you really know what's ahead? Are you really thinking about it? Are you thinking about it with fear? Are you thinking about it with faith? Are you thinking about it with an expectation of, oh my God, what's going to happen? Are you thinking about it with expectation? Oh my God, what are you going to do? Well, we've got to get this lined up so we can understand. And I want to talk to you today more about prophetic words and prophetic praying and decrees, and how we can work with the prophets, how we can work with the prophetic words. Because a lot of times we don't quite understand timing. So timing is very, very important. And I would encourage all of you to listen to Jonathan Cahn. He has wonderful insight from the written word on timing. And also Troy Brewer. He's just really good with timing. But we've got to get our timing down. And so when a prophet says a word, we take that word and we need to put it down in writing. We need to pray over it, think about it, but we also need to look into the written word to see timing and see how it lines up with the scriptures, because not every word comes just immediately to pass. Some of the words could be for later. I'm going to give you one example. Jeremiah kept telling everybody, he said, hey y'all need to stop sinning. You need to stop serving these other gods. You need to stop doing what you're doing to your children. You need to get heads up because something is coming ahead. But it was 40 years. He kept telling them that. And he kept saying, y'all are going to end up in Babylon. And so pay attention. And so what were they doing? Were they paying attention? No, they weren't. They just went on with their very life because a prophet had spoken, you're going to Babylon, you're going to lose everything. But they really were not paying attention because it didn't come to pass immediately. So what we want to do today is we have to strategize. We have to understand the strategy that God is doing right now, especially in our nation. And in your life too. Your life is very important because God is wanting to flow through you. He's got things that you'll be a part of His strategy and part of His timing to restore our nation, which affects you and your family, which affects all nations right now, especially Israel. So how do you understand when a prophet has a prophecy? The first thing is, don't jump the gun. Go and just say, all right, Lord, talk to my face. Help me understand this, and start praying it out. Start searching the scriptures and see how it lines up with the scriptures. Get several scriptures and just say, Father, help me. First of all, how does it affect me? How does it affect my family? How does it affect what I'm doing? How does it affect my ministry or my business or my job or my community? And so what do I need to do about this? What is my responsibility in this particular prophetic word? And then you go, how is it? Remember what Jesus said, this is in Acts 2. He said, you're going to be witnesses here in Jerusalem, then Samaria, then the uttermost parts. So what we do is, that's a pattern. I love patterns because it's easier to understand the things of God, the spiritual things of God, if we understand patterns. So he said Jerusalem. So that means right here where you are. So whatever state you're living in, whatever county or city you're in, whatever that you're involved in, your church, your local church, or your job, especially if you work for the city or you work for the county or you work for the state, you work for the government, then you need to say, okay, there was a prophetic word that came forth. Help me understand, Father, how it's affecting me and my family. How is it affecting my area? How is it affecting my particular church, my surroundings? And how is it affecting my community? And then you go on, that's Jerusalem. Then you go on to Samaria and the uttermost parts of the earth. What we do is sometimes we miss that part. we just hear a word and we yay, and we get so excited, or we go, oh my God, you know. But instead of doing that, let's slow down and let's just say, Lord, help me to mature. Help me to learn your strategies. Help me to see your patterns. Help me to understand exactly, parallel exactly what you're saying, so that I'm at the right place at the right time, so that when things start happening, I already know what is coming down the pike, and I know how to position myself. I know how to get myself in a position to where I'm emotionally prepared, I'm spiritually prepared, financially prepared, physically prepared, relationship, socially. And so what happens to us is we just like, oh my gosh, you know, Lord, you know, and we just let life carry us along. Well, we're not Pollyanna. It's time for all of us to grow up and mature in the things of God. So we have to understand God's patterns, and we have to understand how He does things in times and seasons. Now, I'm going to be talking over the next few InSight programs. You're going to have to stay with me, and especially over the next few that I'm going to do, because I'm going to start talking about time and helping us to understand time and timing, because it's absolutely it's imperative that we grasp timing, especially with this election that's coming up and where we are right now at this particular season. And so we have to understand patterns, and we have to understand how God deals with us individually. Now, I'll just give you an example. This happened January 1, 1997. This is a long time ago. I was praying about a piece of land. I wanted to have land for my family. I wanted a big piece so that everybody could have a piece of land and we could all live together on this land. And so as I was praying about it, God gave me understanding from the book of Jeremiah. And so what He told me, now we didn't have any land at that time. In fact, we were living in a mobile home in a mobile home subdivision, so we didn't have nothing really. And so, but I was praying ahead. See, I was looking into the future. I was seeing like what I wanted for later. This is 1997, January 1. And so the Lord said, what I want you to do is study Jeremiah. And what Jeremiah did was he could see ahead, and so he went and he knew that the Israelites were going to end up in Babylon. So God told him, He said, you go buy a piece of land, you get a deed, and you put it in a jar. Well, that's exactly what Jeremiah did. He got the deed and he put it in a jar. And I said, okay, well, whenever I get the land, then I'll get the deed and I'll get a copy of it and I'll put it in a jar. I'm going to be obedient. I mean, like, it wasn't going to hurt anything, but I was seeing ahead. So January 1, 1998, exactly 1 year, 365 days later, boom, I found this particular piece of land. So we started acquiring this piece of land. We've still been out here, the same land. I've been on the same land since then. But you know what I did? I said, Lord, I don't understand all this, but you've given me something I can see ahead. And so when we bought the land, though, there wasn't anything out here but deer, and there was nobody out here, just us. But God showed me what the value of the land would be, what was going to happen in the area. But I saw that in prayer. But I knew it would be for a later time. I knew it would be like 20 years later or longer. And so, but I held on to what God showed me. It was a pattern. It was a pattern I could actually get from the written word. And so, sure enough, it turned out exactly like God said. And so, I just want you to get to the place where that was my particular thing. God shows me in patterns. And I learned that from Kenneth and Gloria and Kenneth Hagin Sr., that how God works with us in patterns so we can strategize. Things just doesn't happen. I mean, we got to think, we got to look ahead, and we got to plan ahead. What has happened to so many people in our nation is, I don't know what they do, whatever, they're not thinking. You're not thinking ahead. And we get those scriptures and we go, Jesus said, don't be concerned, don't worry about tomorrow. Well, I'm not talking about worrying about tomorrow, I'm talking about planning for tomorrow. Because Jesus also said in Mark 4, He said a farmer understands farming. He understands seed, time, and harvest. And so many times we want an instant miracle, which God does do miracles. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for miracles. We're excited about that because we're moving into the supernatural. But he uses seed, time, and harvest. So what he does is he tells us ahead of time. So you hear a prophet giving a prophecy. You get it, write it down, or get a transcript of their prophecy. Just like Chris Reed had that dream back the day that Israel was invaded. He had a dream. Well, I got the dream, and I got the transcript of the dream. And I went through the dream, and I underlined, I paid attention, and then I put it together with things that God had told me back in 2020. But I kept it in front of me, and I said, "Now, Lord, what is my part? How am I going to help in this particular situation? What is my portion of this? What do I do about this? I can't do all of it. I can only do my part. You know, right hand can only be a right hand. The left hand can only be a left hand." So what we have to do is like, okay, now help me strategize, Father. Help me see ahead. So how can I get prepared? I heard this prophecy. I'm looking at it. I'm praying over it. I want to find the written word on it. And now I want to see what are my steps? God is amazing how he does steps. You know, he did day 1, day 2, day 3. I love it. He had everything planned out, but it was in portions, or it was in patterns. And so you just slow down a little bit, turn the TV off, stop running out to movies and stop running out shopping and all that stuff. Just cool your wheels, sit down and say, "Father, what are you saying to me?" And don't be afraid of what he's going to show you, because he's going to show you how to strategize concerning the future. If it's a bad future, then most of it we can miss. Many times we can miss it. Sometimes we can't, but it can be altered. It can be changed. And I've shared with you before, like my son, when he was 18, he's in his 50s now, but when he was 18, we knew ahead of time that he was going to have a car accident. But in the car accident, the dream revealed that he was going to be killed. But we got in there and we prayed and we fasted, we prayed and we fasted, changed the whole thing. He did have a car accident, but he had like a little skin on his knee, and that was it. And so a lot of times when bad things are coming ahead, and God showed us that 9 months before that accident happened, we were praying, talking to him, we were fasting, praying. And no, we didn't change the accident, but yes, we did change the result of it. So when you see something bad, just don't jump to a conclusion, go, "Oh my God, Lord, you know, what are we going to do? All this horrible stuff is happening." No, what God says, I will show you what you can stop. I will show you what you can change. I will show you what you can alter. I'll show you a different way. Just like when he told Joseph, he said, "Get Mary, get up and get out of here." He gave him a dream. He said, "Make it happen." And he didn't say wait for 10 months either. He said, "Make it happen right now." So why? Because he was protecting Mary and he was protecting Jesus. And so God will tell us things. So don't be frightened about what he's going to say, even if it seems like it's bad. Find out, what can you change? What part of it can you change? And find out what part you can't change. Because a lot of times people go, "Well, bless God, you know, I'm going to move this mountain into the sea." Well, if it has to do with someone else's will, then we're going to have to pray for that other person or that other situation. Right now, corporately, now hear me what I'm saying to you, corporately in the United States, because of what we've not just strayed away from God, but we've actually turned around in many cases and walked away from God. And because we started making these crazy laws and stuff that harm other people, take other people's lives and stuff, we just started all these crazy things we're doing. So, you know, if you plant weed seed long enough in your yard, you're just going to get weeds. That's exactly what's going to happen. So you got to get out and get rid of those weeds, and there is a way to get rid of them. And so Right now, we're in a corporate situation in our United States where things are affecting us. All kinds of things are affecting us. And I'll give you another example. When Israel was sinning against God and they were worshiping other gods because of money, the good people got taken into captivity as well as those people that had been sinning. Daniel was one of them. Nehemiah, think about these people. But they made the best out of the situation that they were in. Look what happened to Daniel. He ended up becoming big guy. Same thing with Joseph. So a lot of times, because it's a corporate thing, it happens to the whole nation. But that doesn't mean that God can't use you and flow through you and give you answers that helps the whole nation. Look at Esther. I think that's phenomenal. Esther was positioned, even though they were in bondage, even though they were taken captive, God placed her in a place to where she could affect her whole nation. Isn't that amazing? So I just want you to get to the place to where you're learning how, like, okay, now what is God saying? I heard this prophecy, but exactly what does it mean? Don't just pop off and go, okay, God said so-and-so and such through so-and-so, and it's going to be this way. Because now we're having some of the people, some of the people are saying, well, there's a bunch of false prophets running around out there. And some of the people are saying, no, they're not. But sometimes it's just the fact that we just don't understand exactly what all God is saying. So we just need to cool our wheels and like, okay, God, help me understand exactly. There's these dreams, there's these things that are happening, and dreams are majorly important. Acts 2, Peter talked about, he said there's going to be dreams, visions, and prophecies. Well, how about having all three of these? How about if God gives a dream, then somebody else can have a vision, somebody else can have a prophecy, and they're all saying the same thing. And dreams do come in clusters, so you might have 2 or 3 dreams, or people around you would have dreams and they'd be saying the same thing. And so God is going to make sure, I'm telling you, what I'm trying to say is God is making sure that you get the right information. If we will just sit down and listen and say, Father, what are you saying today? What kind of pattern have you worked out in my life? How do you talk to me personally? I know how God talks to me personally. I learned that. I learned the patterns. And when he starts and he tells me he's going to do a different pattern, then I have to learn the new pattern. I have to learn, like, okay, we're going to do things differently. Then, like, I've been in ministry over 40 years. Now I'm doing something totally different that I've ever done in all the years of ministry. And so I had to learn, what is it? What are we doing? How are we doing it? Help me understand it. Teach me. So it took a time of learning, so that I could get into the new wineskin, because God had a new revelation, new things that he was pouring into that new structure. Wineskin only stands for structure. And so what is God saying to you? What kind of pattern has he always used? Like in my life, and I've shared this with you before, if it's something supernatural, my whole life is going to change. Boom, man, I mean, like, it's going that way and all of a sudden it's going to go that way. Every time an angel showed up, I remember this exactly, it was in January 1981, I was in there praying, and all of a sudden this big angel shows up. He was standing in the middle of the bed. His feet went down through the cement, the floor, and into the ground. His head went above the ceiling, and I was like, hey, who's that? What? And I could see him with these eyes. My eyes were wide open. I was down on my knees beside the bed, and I looked up, and there he was. And I said, Lord, who's that? And he said, okay, you guys are getting ready to go into full-time ministry. This is your ministry angel. I said, what's a ministry angel? I don't even know what that is. So I had to study that out. That was 1981. Our whole life changed. My whole life, just like that, changed completely. So I know when God does some supernatural thing like that, my life is just changing completely. The rest of my life is normal. I get up like everybody else. I go to bed like everybody else and do whatever I do. And so what is your pattern? How does God speak to you? Does he speak to you in dreams? Do you have the gift of dreams? Does he speak to you through prophecies? Do you get most everything I get by praying and studying the Bible by myself in my own prayer closet. Rarely does somebody ever give me a word. I get it this way. I study, read, study, read, study, read. I listen to different ministers, and I'm studying, reading. So that's my pattern. What's your pattern? How does God speak to you? Look at your pattern. So what is he telling you today within your pattern of how to understand these prophetic words that are coming? What word applies to you? What prophetic word is going to affect your life? And then what are you supposed to do about it? God is going to give you instructions. God doesn't just say like, okay, well, there's an angel floating around here, and so like whatever. No. If an angel shows up, he shows up for a reason. When he showed up to Elizabeth, he said, hi, this is going to happen. When he showed up to Mary, he said, hi, this is going to happen. There's always instructions. God gives instructions. I think that is so wonderful. If we can just get to the place to where, in fact, we were talking about this, Jeremy and me and Barbara the other day, we were talking about this. I said, one thing I just learned is like, get in agreement with God, even if you don't understand it, but you will understand it because he will give you instructions on how to do it. So just wait for the instructions. He leads us. Our steps are guided in his word. We step one step at a time. And it's not, Mother, may I take 10 giant steps? He makes us take baby steps. And so as we're taking these steps, God is guiding us and giving us instructions. He's a good Heavenly Father. Good. He's good to us. And he doesn't expect us to have all the answers. It's all of us together. We're gathering together. Sunday night we had powerful, powerful prayer for our nation. We had powerful prayer for individual prophets. We had prayer over prophecies. It was the whole team. We were just like boom, boom, boom. Everybody had a part in what we were praying. Same thing happened last night on our prayer call. Everybody could see, everybody could get something and put all of our pieces together. Then we ended up having the puzzle completely worked so that we could actually grasp what God is saying. So God gives instructions. So if we're gonna move into this thing, which we are moving into it, you're gonna have to learn how to cooperate with God. Just like right now, and just say, Father, I agree with you. I might not get it all, I might not understand it all, but it's okay. I agree with you. I just want to be in agreement with you, Father. That's what I want. Even if my mind is giving me a fit, I'm going to bring my mind over here where my mind is accepting it. And stop fighting against God. That's what he told Paul. He said, why are you kicking against the pricks? And have you ever seen two oxen loaded up? They got those horrible wooden harnesses, and they decided they didn't want to pull the wagon. They wanted to go out and eat grass, and they'd be kicking and having a fit. But there was these things in the back called pricks, and every time they would kick, then they would end up hitting these spike things. Well, it didn't take them too long to know, hey, you're breaking your foot and you're bleeding all over the place, so behave yourself. So don't kick against the pricks. Just say, okay, Lord, I'm learning. And guess what? You get to be a part of this. You get to pray. You get to make decrees. You get to strategize. You get to find out where your position is in all of this. It could be God is calling you to maybe become part of the school board, the public school board in your area. Could be God is asking you to stop running from that call that's on your life because of money, and go ahead and surrender, and then find out exactly how God wants you to fulfill that call. And then whatever God is asking us to do, let's just say, Father, will we surrender? Now start leading us one step at a time. One step, so that my steps are sure. You know, Psalm 18 talks about he makes our steps sure, so that when we take a step, we know if we'll be patient. Many of you are like, you're struggling with like God told me this and God told me that and it hadn't happened. Well, it's through faith and patience that we inherit the promises. We want an instant microwave, but he doesn't always do that. Sometimes he does, but most of the time he doesn't do that. So what we got to do is like, Lord, help me. I'll take this one step as I do, make my step sure under me, and then show me how to take the next step. So what we're talking about now is we're going from understanding what the prophets are saying to praying their prophecies, to applying their prophecies to our life and our community, and then eventually to our nation. As we begin to do that, then God will show us steps. I hope you're writing all this down. He will start showing us steps of our particular portion of how we're supposed to do that. What is our part in doing that? And as we get and grasp our part, and we just start walking out our part, as we do that, then the whole begins to come together, because he's dealing with us as a complete nation. And he's not only dealing with us as a nation of the United States, but he's dealing with us as his nation, the kingdom of righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit, the church, the whole body of believers together, not just here, but all over the world. So as he does, he's going to take us from place to place. Learning about times and seasons, learning the Hebrew calendar is going to help you. Right now, God told us in September, the middle of September, that you're walking into the next year of the open door. What does that mean? The open door to what? The open door to opportunities. What opportunities? Where are they? How do I access this door? How do I find out where that door is? We don't just like go, oh, well, the prophet said that this year's the door of opportunities. You know, don't even know where you are. You don't even know if you're in Fort Worth or Atlanta, Georgia. We got to understand that God is giving us this Hebrew year. We have opportunities, but where are those opportunities? How do you access those opportunities? Really think about it now. I mean, are you thinking? I hope you're thinking. Hey, would you make some comments? I would really love to see your comments of how this is helping you and how it's changing your ability to be able to see into and beyond all of this natural stuff we got going on around here. We need to be able to see, God, exactly what are you saying? I'm seeing beyond. Yes, I can see further than I can look, because I can see what God is saying to me right now at this particular time. Well, make sure that you ask your friends and your family to join us and share this. Like it. I mean, the more you share it, the more you like it, the better off it's going to be, because I'm reaching a nation of people. I'm reaching people that need to hear this message, and I need your help. Become a digital evangelist. Help me evangelize. Until next time, God bless.